Peasley.
You got a minute, Chris?
Yeah. I was gonna ask you something anyway.
How we doing this morning?
Good, and yourself?
Good.
I feel a little fall out there.
Yep. Friday morning was 35 at the house when we left. We had to go down to Ohio for my sister's celebration of life. She passed away about a month ago.
Oh, my condolences.
Yeah.
How was the trip downstate?
It was
Dear Lord, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for the privilege of gathering to do that which would guide this county. We pray that you would give us wisdom and guidance and help us to do those things that are right. And for your name and sake, Jesus Christ, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. All right, welcome everyone. Roll call, please.
Drummond.
Here.
Brady.
Here.
Banat.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Rocker.
Here. Approved minutes from September 2nd, 2020.
Thought my hair was falling out, maybe.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
For support.
I'll second, by Bergie.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. 3 minutes per person. Public. Mr. Boyd, are you a public?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, are you?
I'm not sure, but I think
Okay.
I am.
Yes, sir.
I just haven't been around a long time for, give you an update on the base. And, we're still ticking along on the spaceport. It's looking better every day. Some went over to Traverse City a couple weeks ago to go to a seminar over there. And it looks like we have 20-some businesses possible. It's gonna form a tour to base. It's gonna be part of the spaceport to do work for them. It's going good. I hope, we're most every day we're doing something to try to get people to come here. We create another one. Coletta's got plans for another hangar. It'll be bigger than the last one he built. So he's put more people on. Spaceport comes in, they're gonna put a hangar up. They're just doing some of the taxiways in the place they park the planes. And it's hard to believe, there's 3 foot of cement underneath. And they milled off about 10, 12 inches. And they put a little asphalt down, and they put another 8 to 10 inches of concrete, so it levels it out.
Wow.
You know, it's over a $5 million project they just did, just should have finished up this week. But everything seems to be going good, it just, like these meetings here, we try to have meetings, you got people in Oregon, you got people in California, and everything kind of steps back and, you know, but we're getting it, it's gonna be good, so, that's one of the things. This year, the fair couldn't go on, we had a sale for the kids. It was kind of a tasky little thing to try to keep the health department really going, but thank all the buyers and bidders, because the kids did really well. One pig sold for $3,000 this year, it's the highest pig we ever had. Small animals was down as far as monies, but not bad. It was a good year for the kids, you know. We never had no big dinner or nothing for them because we couldn't do that, but buyers was down, but a lot of people come. I was bidding for 5 people. So that kind of thing helps. We're working on some projects. Last night at the fair board meeting, we're working on projects for, we're gonna start doing this year for next year. We're gonna put some more lighting in. It was LEDs, so it's a little cheaper on light bills. We should have almost everything in the LEDs pretty soon here. The fair board will have their budget in this coming month. They went over and they had some stuff that some of the members didn't. They wanted to change or look into stuff, so they said they'd wait till next month to bring it in. I'll have the one for the area site in probably first next week. What else was there? That's about it, I guess, as far as that. But everything else has been going pretty good. They got scheduled a snow machine race this year. The fairground's been busy for people using the pavilion, so they can just be distanced out and still be under a roof. And that's what it's there for people to use. That was about it. It's been good, you know, we're working on, I'd say the base is really good. I mean, I'm proud to be part of it, just to think about creating some of this stuff.
Now we're getting the horizontal launch. What about the wind tunnel?
That's in the future.
Okay, all right.
The other one is up in Marquette, was that Marquette?
Yeah, Marquette, Sawyer.
No, it's going to a private, they want to take it in a private piece of property,
Oh,
right on the lake.
okay.
Some guy's got 2,500 acres up there. And now people up there is complaining because they're gonna cut down trees, but they have it someplace close to the lake. So there's no people they're flying over. Because we had real good aspects here. If they could've went up and turned a little bit and went up, but they can't do that. They wanna go up and head it out. But I'd love to have that one, because that will bring tourists in.
Well, that's one of the other gripes that Marquette's having, is you got some people that are mad because it's gonna bring a bunch of people into town and they don't want them.
I think it's stupid. I mean, it's only talking about a couple times a month lunch.
Yeah, I know. It was a weird article.
Yeah, I just think it was, they go up there and, where else could you went, except down Florida to go watch something launch up? And this wasn't as big as that, but it was still been pretty neat to watch.
All right,
That's all I got.
very good.
Oh, one thing, Bill wasn't gonna be here today, but on recycling tires, I tried to get Gary to help us, but he didn't hear me. That day, I was sitting over having a drink of water when he was, we loaded over 1,000 tires in one semi, and it was a lot of tractor tires. Big tractor tires. And then, we still had, filled the semi right up, couldn't put any more in it. We put the last one and shut the door. And we had another 100 and some tires, car tires, and I forgot how many more tractor tires we had to put in, so. A lot of farmers spent money on tractor tires this last year. So. But I mean, everything was good, so now we're kind of planning, depends on what you guys do for next spring's, Conway cleanup. That's it. I'll
Okay.
shut up.
Anyone else? Public comment?
I'll take a shot at it. Of course, Terry Mullins, Chair for the Alcona County Republicans. I would like to make an apology about a post that I had done on Facebook in regards to the MLive article, which touted ignoring the executive orders, which we never at any point in time said ignore. And Craig, you're absolutely correct. I was excited to see Alcona County in the paper, and so I was not paying attention to what was actually being said. So I admit wrongdoing there. What else are we doing here? We are
currently out of Trump signs, but we are looking to get more in. The 28th is our next meeting at 7 p.m. We have Dakota Baker from the Bergman campaign coming to train us on the Advantage app and do some door knocking that day. So we're going to be out and about on the town. Any candidates that want to add their name to the list in regards to door knocking and saying, hey, we're promoting Trump, we're promoting John James, we're promoting Craig Johnston, we're promoting, you know.
I had to see that, Joe. You know
I know. I was surprised to see you here. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen now? No, anyway. No, you're.
I just like picking on you, Karen.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do. So that's the 28th. We're planning on meeting up probably about 10 o'clock. I will have a post on Facebook on our ACR page to verify that time, because we're meeting today with them this afternoon, so we'll have verification on that. And I guess that's it with ACR.
Yes, ma'am.
Chris Anderson, citizen, resident, and secretary of the Alcona County Republicans. And I would just like to thank especially Gary Winnook, but the board in toto, for your support of all of our constitutional rights. Thank you so much for your resolution, Gary, and thank you, Board of Commissioners, for supporting Gary's resolution unanimously. I'm thrilled. Can't tell you how much that means to us.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment?
Craig,
All right.
can I get a couple minutes?
Yeah, I was turning to you next.
Thank you.
Scott, go ahead.
If
Stevenson.
I exceed the 3 minutes, let me know. But I just wanted to give a brief update on some things
Tell the
going
sheriff
on.
to shut up here.
Good. Yeah, just a brief update on a few things going on over here. You may have noticed our fleets increased a little bit. We've got our 2 new Ford Explorers outfitted and on the road, along with the F-250 that we bought on the Stone Garden grant. So real shortly, we will be auctioning off, with the help of Stephanie at the clerk's office, auctioning off a couple of those vehicles. And talking about giving our Tahoe over to the grounds and maintenance crew. So I got a couple questions as far as that goes. I'm not sure if that's going to take board action or not to do that.
Well, I know we talked, Dave and I, we had that conversation. It's been a while, and you and I talked. I don't know how that works. I mean, it's interagency.
Yeah, I don't see it as being an issue unless there's board action needed on it. Switching plates and insurance is not going to be a
Right.
But
That's all I thought we would.
Yeah, my goal is to get a few of these vehicles off of our police fleet insurance, because it's kind of high. So if it's not being used for police patrols, it's going to be quite a bit cheaper to insure, I believe. So looking to reduce that down. And the other 2 vehicles, the old Impalas, should be able to be auctioned off as soon as Stephanie's ready to do that. We've got them all cleaned up and ready to go.
I think we need board action to get rid of the vehicle. I'm not sure.
Can I ask this question?
I don't know who's talking. They shouldn't be talking. Who is it?
I will give you a complete answer. I was
Nobody here.
yes,
No.
That's background. Somebody just has their
to go
microphone.
out to the
Yeah,
airport.
I see
for a
my
meeting.
hand is unmuted, but
We had budget concerns.
there we go. I think John,
Sounds like, John, you there?
somebody just
Mute them
muted.
guys.
Yeah.
All right, go
All
ahead,
right.
Scott. Finish
Yeah,
up.
so that puts our fleet in pretty good shape. Going forward, we're going to kind of look at a 1-2-1 replacement of vehicles over the years. We'll replace one vehicle 1 year to the next, and that kind of puts us on average of 1.5 per year. So that's kind of how we're going to try to keep the cost down on vehicles, and then keep the guys within their mileage restriction. You're probably aware that our mileage restriction is 165,000. That's extremely generous for the unions to be doing that. Other places, 100,000 is a lot for police vehicles. So we're pretty fortunate in that front to be allowed to use our vehicles this long. And But I think a 1-2-1 rotation should keep us in pretty good shape going forward on that. I want to talk about a couple large investigations that our office has recently wrapped up. Some of them we put in the paper recently, but they're two real big investigations and complex that I'm pretty proud of. The first is goes way back to January 6, 2019. Late at night, approximately 11:30, we had a call about an assault that happened in Glenny. We dispatched our deputies out there, pretty remote area, end of a dead end road, found a gentleman had been beaten up in the head by a lead pipe. He was lured out of the house by a young woman who claimed to have car trouble. And when he went to retrieve the jumper cables, he was beaten in the head. He didn't know the suspects and we had very little work on. I assigned that complaint to Deputy Leesburg at the time, and he had very little things to work on. So he worked on that for over a year, and he developed 3 suspects in that, one of whom used to work for the victim. So that was the connection, and that's how he knew them. During a preliminary exam, the female who lured the gentleman out revealed that their intent was to come up here, tie the victim and his wife up, and rob them of their possessions in the house. This is pretty startling for us. It's pretty rare that we have, first of all, that we have crimes against people that we don't know who the suspects are. Our crimes are pretty much known suspects. So this was pretty rare. And a crime as violent as intending on tying people up and robbing them is pretty striking. So pretty serious crime here. So anyways, after the prelim, people decided to take pleas because there was enough evidence. We ended up with the woman getting a year in our county jail for her cooperation with the crime. One of the men is spending 11 years to 30 years in prison, and the other, who was the known suspect to the family, is spending 12 years and 8 months to 30 years in prison. So it's a pretty big deal for us, and pretty proud of the investigation that went on. During the course of the investigation, Deputy Leesburg, as I mentioned, was promoted to Sergeant Leesburg, and that just goes to show how long that case took. Another one I'll be a little briefer on. This one was a December 2nd, 2020 complaint about a vulnerable adult abuse. This nephew came in and reported that his aunt had been taken advantage of financially by a couple of individuals in Harrisville. We gave this complaint to Deputy Klink to work on. And after reviewing thousands of pages of financial documentation, he was able to prove at least $150,000 worth of money stolen from this woman. We think it was substantially more than that over years, but this is what we were able to charge with, was about $150,000 worth. Led to the arrest and conviction of 2 men for the crime. The charges basically were embezzlement of various dollars amount from a vulnerable adult. One of the defendants passed away prior to sentencing, but the other one is with the Department of Corrections for the next 3 to 15 years. So these are a couple of the real complex cases that our guys are working on. I give them a lot of credit. They're not easy investigations. They're long, and it's not something somebody brand new out of the academy can accomplish. So fortunately, these guys are they have significant time on the job and are able to complete jobs like that. A little more complex than writing a speeding ticket or rolling up drunk drivers. So I'm real proud of those guys. Something else that happened a little more recently is on August 30th, Deputy Klink and Wright were sent out to Alcona Canoe to help out with an EMS call where they found an unresponsive female in one of the shower stalls out there and really had no idea what was going on. When they got there, most of the first responders, which was very little because Curtis is not very well staffed, were exhausted, and Deputy Klink had to help out doing CPR. So between him and the ambulance, CPR was performed on this woman all the way to the hospital in Tawas. She survived and she's doing well. I'm not exactly sure what her condition was from, but from that, Deputy Klink received a CPR pin, a CPR save pin from EMS. So it's kind of a big deal for us. That's big enough on its face, but later the same day, Klink, Wright, and an MSP trooper were sent to Greenbush for an overdose complaint. When they got there, Deputy Klink administered in the neighborhood of 4 doses of Narcan to this unresponsive 38-year-old man. Again, he was transported to Tawas and he survived and recovered. This to the best of my knowledge, our first Narcan save, at least for my office. I believe maybe EMS has had some, but for my office, it's the first save that we've had for deploying Narcan. So kind of a big deal for us. This is all on the same day, so kind of a busy day. Now to a little bit more boring stuff. We just renovated one of our closets in the lobby to a bathroom to use for drug screening. Previously, what we do for our drug screening here is we would bring the suspects into the jail all the way back to our day room area where there's a bathroom where they could be observed to administer the test. We could during COVID because we weren't allowed to let people in from the outside. And at that time, I didn't really like the security problems that posed by letting drug test suspects into the jail. It compromised the security of our jail. It really did. So we renovated this into a bathroom. We're going to do the drug testing up there and keep them out of the jail. We did this with some help from drug court and Judge Frawley financially. Her and I both feel it's important to continue this program of drug screening here. And if we're going to do it, we might as well make a few bucks off of it. It's a significant source of income for us over here that we weren't doing the first half of this year that we're getting back into now. So we're back in the drug screening business now. Been a little bit of talk about union negotiations coming up. It looks like both COAM and POAM are probably switching union representation this year. So whatever plans you guys have on negotiating, you can probably hold off just a little bit until we know for sure who the unions are going to be. It may be that they go with different union representation at this point. There's a board of elections, Bureau of Elections for the state of Michigan is conducting union elections for POAM right now. And if COAM elects to go differently, they will be doing that here in the near future too. So, hold on to your hats and let's see where this goes. I'm not sure. We hosted some training here recently. It was in the newspaper not too long ago, but we had the sheriff's SWAT team, for lack of a better term. We call them ERT, Emergency Response Team. They trained out at Sprinkler Lake a couple weeks ago, and that was pretty neat deal. They came in there with all of their gear and their equipment. They have a bread van, which is a personnel carrier where they move people and equipment around. They also have an armored personnel carrier that they move people into hot zones or hot areas during hostage situations and things of that nature. Training went on real smoothly. Everything went real well. Had a good time until we got ready to close the place up, and we smelled smoke in one of the Forest Service buildings. So we got to train, and so did the fire department, because they had to come out and track down what was smoldering out there. It ended up being a light ballast in one of the fluorescent lights in the basement. So fortunately, we didn't burn down Sprinkler Lake, and we got some good training out of it, as did the fire department. That's about all I have for today, unless there's any questions.
Any questions on the board? Nope. Scott, we don't. We thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other public comment? All right, hearing none. We'll move to presentations. So on our agenda, we don't have anybody, but Ken, I believe that's where we're going to bring you in, is at our presentations. So Ken Talsma, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All
Any
right,
snow on the
very
ground up there?
good. We're probably a couple weeks out yet from that.
Oh, at least.
Still not too bad though. Well, thanks for
Alrighty,
having
welcome.
me. Thanks for having me here for the 2019 audit. A little late because of COVID and like everything else, I guess. But so I've set some graphs ahead of time. I don't know if they got printed or if you guys.
Yep, we did. We did get them. Yep, we have them all.
Okay. And I'll just get into my usual spiel. So as you have in the past, we do your financial audit, which is required by the state of Michigan. Also other agencies like to get a copy too, just to make sure that there's an accounting of all your records and making sure that there's evidence to support everything like the cash and fund balances and revenues and expenses, and there's tests and everything done on your systems to make sure you're doing the day-to-day work correctly to capture and make sure all your assets are collected and recorded and all your obligations are paid on time and everything's working as it should. No issues there. And then at the end of our audit, if we're looking at all the evidence and everything, we can give our opinion. And there's always, we always say there's the four kinds. There's the adverse when there's discrepancies and we can't agree to, I guess, what the correct amount is. Our evidence is telling us something and the client thinks it's something else and we can't get to the right place. That's an adverse opinion. Then there's a disclaimer when there isn't information, sometimes for doing an audit. Like usually when there's a fire or natural disaster, everything's wiped out. And there's a modified opinion, which usually means everything's okay, except for maybe an area or two are a bit lacking. And then there's the unmodified, which is as far as accounting principles and reporting and gathering all the evidence, everything turned out fine. And that's what the County of Alcona got for 2019 is the unmodified opinion. So it's the one you want. The next thing I'll get into is the graphs, just kind of show how things have changed and increased and decreased financially. So the first page shows all your assets, the big things like your cash, investments, receivables, due from government units, which is revenue sharing and other state and federal grants, your capital assets that some are depreciated, like buildings and equipment, and then things that aren't, like land, and then deferred outflows, and also talk about deferred inflows later. And these are kind of like deferred revenues and expenses related to the pension plan that kind of don't hit the bottom line necessarily all in one year, but they're deferred and they are amortized against the pension obligation over maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So over time. So your assets, I think, stay pretty comparable. The cash was a little bit better, probably had the biggest bump up from 2018. I think we went from about 5.2 to about almost 5.6. So your cash position got a little bit better, which usually relates to making sure that all your collections are coming in timely and are up to date and in hand. Next, page 2, we have the liabilities of the entire county. So in your payables due to the vendors of the county, accrued liabilities for things like taxes, salaries that are accrued at the end of the year, but not paid till after in cash. Your deposits payable due to governmental units, which are obligations to other governments. Installment purchase agreement up from 105 to 285, and that is your loan for the Cedar special assessment, Cedar Dam special assessment. I think we had 105 borrowed last year. Now we're had that paid off, and an additional 285 borrowed for that project end of this year. The post-closure landfill finally ended its 30-year cycle. So as far as the requirements for the DQ, everything has been, the time period has been met. So we no longer have to have that liability set aside to cover any issues that come up. The pension liability got a little better, went from 5.7 million to 5.1. Probably the biggest part of that is just the end of 19. We had a better stock market close than we did in 2018 when it went so bad. But at the end of 19, things were doing a little bit better and allowed you to kind of gain some ground with your pension obligation as far as what you owe and considering the time value of money with all that, as well as the investment you've got in there to fund that. So kind of left you in a good place for that, I think, at the end of 19. Then you also invest in employee benefits, which is your sick and vacation obligation when people leave employment. That's down to 469,000. So that gained some ground from last year, about 557,000. Then we have deferred inflows of about 2 million between both years. And again, these are kind of like deferred revenues that are going to help fund the pension plan that are, again, amortized over a few years, like 3 to 5 years. Next, we have the revenues now of just the general fund. Of course, the general operating fund of the county is the most exciting and interesting fund of the county. So we always focus on that, kind of the heart of the county. Your tax revenue stayed pretty level, about 3.3 million almost between both years, just slightly lower, I think, at the end of the year. License and permit revenue stayed pretty even. Your federal to state revenues, your charges for services, and the charges are fees directly charged by the different windows and departments of the county for the services they give out, like whether it's making copies for the register of deeds or court fees and all those things. Fines and forfeitures, also things issued by the courts for different fines and things that happen. interest and rentals is your interest on your cash and investments. I was a little bit down in the general fund this year. And then other revenue bumped up quite a bit from 135,000 last year to about 306,000. I think the biggest reason for that increase is we had the reimbursement for engineering costs for the Cedar Lake Special Assessment. I think that got fronted early on, and then as the project and special assessment, everything got going, it got returned to the general fund in 2019. That was about, I think, a little over $100,000. And then also we've got higher reimbursements coming in because of the cost allocation plan in 19 than we've had in the past. So that was about 75,000. That's kind of a tool used to make sure that the other different departments and funds of the county are sharing some of their fair share of certain other overhead costs. So that's being accounted for better and charged out better now. So that's, those two things were the biggest part of the increase. Page 4, now we look at your expenditures for the general fund. So in the legislative, which is the board, up a little bit from last year, landing at 247,000. Judicial, which is all the courts, stayed pretty level, just down a little bit. General government, which is departments of treasurer, clerk, elections, equalization, building and grounds, a lot of the general functions of the general fund. Public safety, which is the big players at the sheriff's department, jail, road patrol, emergency management. That went down a little bit from about 2.3 million to 2.1. Public works, which is different expenses for monitoring the landfill and public works. Health and welfare landed at about 23,000, down from 35. And usually with that, that's costs for medical examiner, different contributions for health department, mental health, and things like that. Rec and culture, about $2,900, and rec and culture usually like your parks, and sometimes it can be costs for libraries. And then other expenditures landed at about 290,000, down from 341,000. And other expenditures in the general fund usually have things like insurances and fringes and other appropriations to other governmental entities in the kind of the foot space of the county that provide other services for the citizens of the county. Then the last graph is the general fund's fund balance. Kind of, we always look at the 5 years, and again we had a little bit of a decrease. I think about 143,000, down from 948,000 last year. We landed about 705,000. So I think we usually, we go by the 10 to 15% rule as kind of being a way to gauge whether your fund balance is in an okay or safe place. And I think you're about
10%.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're still there. So you're in that, the 10 to 15% window. So, I mean, again, I think if we keep going down, we get below the 10, then we can start worrying. One of the things the state of Michigan started doing almost 3 years ago is they started, when we send the audit in, they automatically punch in your revenues and expenses, and they have a way to tell if you've had 3 years in a row of decreases like you guys have had. And then they send out it's almost like a computer generated letter stating that they've noticed that and they're worried about you and want to know what, things you can do, what's going on, things you can do to maybe improve the trend. They won't give you any more money or do anything, but they're just saying that they've noticed, they can give you advice or something. But so you might get that letter again asking what's going on, but usually they just require a response for that. Just explain what you're dealing with and what you're doing, and then they're satisfied. But so we've kind of had a few years in a row now of small decreases, and but I think I say maybe in another year or something we probably start getting worried if we get below the 10%. And but I think you guys have been aware of the KISS trend, and have been trying to tighten your belt and deal with things as best you can. So, again, what you're working with and your budgeting, everything, seems to be pretty good. You seem to be able to know what you're getting in, what you're paying out, and what you have to work with, and kind of staying within your means. So that's it's kind of the type of thing you're doing the best with what you've been given, I think. So, any questions on the graphs so far? Observations?
Okay. No, go ahead.
Yeah, Ken, so elaborate a little bit more. So what you're saying here is we did spend less than we took in?
No, you
Or
spent. I think you spent more.
Because the revenues say 4757, expenditures say 4661.
Right. Well, the other thing that comes into play are your transfers in from other funds and transfers out.
Okay.
But before that, you were 95,000 to the good,
Right.
just on kind of like an operating.
For the operation of the building and everything, we were. Yeah.
Right. But when you get to having to fund the other funds and, get money in, like the only place you really get money in from is usually the delinquent tax collection fund or the tax foreclosure funds. They'll give you some money as, they get everything wound down year by year and they have anything remaining. But then a lot of the other funds usually need support of the general fund, like the child care fund.
Right.
They're one of the bigger players, but there's also, I think some of the biggest.
Oh, child care. Yeah, we know there's quite a few different ones, but this is just for operations, revenue and expenditures. Revenue was above expenditures for operations.
Right. You're correct. 95 to the good. Yep.
Good.
95,000.
Okay. Anybody else? Did you have something, man? Other than that, same question. All right. You want to continue on, Ken?
Sure.
No other questions?
Then the only other thing is that we also do our letter in the back, kind of our observations of your systems and controls and those things. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to look at that. Go through any questions, but I'm trying to just highlight some of the big things that happened. With that loose letter, I think it starts on page 3 with our comments and recommendations. And I always say we if it's an audit, we kind of have 3 buckets as we find things and report them to you. There's an area called material misstatements, which is the more severe things. If you didn't have anything to report in that area. There's a middle ground kind of called significant deficiencies, which we didn't have anything other than, I think we sometimes report the preparation of the financial reporting. Some places have a CPA on staff all year and they do all kinds of reports and, they know all the GASBs and all these things. And, because you're a smaller community, you don't have that and the size and budget and those things. But in an ideal world, they think that would be something nice to have. So we have to report whether you do or don't. Then the last area is the more minor areas, which we call our comments and recommendations. And we, as we get through things, we make sure that the cash reconciliations are being done timely, and they are. And then, with correctness, I think at the end of the year, we kind of had, as we worked through things, we still had some questions. We required additional evidence to make sure we got it all right. So there was some additional time needed to get that done, but we did in the end and got everything, solid. So we know we can hang our hat on what, your cash really is. There's also different loans for the housing department that we always make sure that are, kept up to date and tied out. There's kind of some additional work that happens with that. And then the accruals, making sure all those are recorded and it's not just enough always to know where your cash is. There's always the accrual part, which you may owe people, they may owe you. So we got to make sure all that's factored into to have accrual accounting. One of the good things to come out of the year is with COVID is all the GASBs that were supposed to be required to happen this year got pushed out a whole year. So that kind of saved some work for the administration of the county. And then some of these other things we just recommended, maybe some improvements like with the internal information policy and the receipting processes. Transmittals, making sure, as money is collected by other departments, say like registered deeds, sheriff's office, they keep their own receipts there, and we need to make sure that's captured and kind of listed by time and by amount and receipt number, and then put on a transmittal to the treasurer's office. And, there's all this proper record keeping. I think we had a couple instances that things weren't all present in the transmittal like we would like to see. So we recommended kind of off the state's prescribed format of what it should all be there and how it should flow on those things. So I think that's already been put in motion. Otherwise, I think, a lot of things got corrected in the end. I said at the end, we also have, barring no more problems with COVID, there'll be some changes with GASB's relating to trust agency funds next year. They're going to be doing some additional reporting on that to kind of show where the money's all coming in and going. And it's not only just, the county gets their tax money, you also get money for like the schools and the state, and that kind of flows in and out your trust agency funds. So kind of, show that a bit better, I think, is what they're looking at. And then the leasing comment is in there still, because I think in 2021, there's changes with leasing. We used to have, the two kinds. You capital lease, which means you're buying a truck or something. You leased it for 3 to 5 years. And at the end of it, you kept it and owned it. That was a capital lease. And then sometimes you want to do an operating lease where, like copiers, there's just, by the time you're done renting it, you're going to need a new one. So you just turn it back in and get the next one. And those, aren't capital. They don't go on a balance sheet. You just would do a footnote saying, hey, we're renting these. We pay so much a month in the year. And then we're, at the end of the term, we're going to probably, trade it in and get the next thing. But what they're looking at doing with these operating leases is if you've made a commitment over a year or more, they want to call these agreements a right to use asset and put that on your balance sheet, and then have an obligation for the term of the lease too. So it's kind of, I guess the short answer is they're kind of treating them with the reporting about the same. They want to put, show both, whether you capital lease to own it or you're just renting it. They want to, kind of show your commitment for either way. Because I think what they're looking at is, you could have, and this is not just counties, but even for profit businesses, you could have a lot of things that you're renting, and all you would ever see is the money going out on the income statement. And they, you may spend, $20,000 a year on a lease, but you may be committed to, paying for 5 years. So maybe when you think about, well, we're, it's not just we're paying 20 grand a year, we're committed to pay, 100 grand for this thing by the time we're all said and done. So I think that's maybe where they're coming from, is to kind of show the whole thing instead of it just year by year. But that all kind of depends on what you guys all have going. Let's say copiers is a, kind of a area I think most counties have, because they have several offices and those things. Usually you get them in blocks, so that may, come into play. But basically, it'll just be looking at what you've got going and how you're doing it, and then making sure that we present it accurately once that GASB comes online. Any other questions or?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you for your staff and the work that you did with us. I appreciate your time and your patience and all that.
And we appreciate everybody else's, the treasurer and the clerk's office, all their hard work. And saying when we find things, everybody is very receptive to, hearing us and taking it to heart and trying to make things better. So we appreciate that. Everybody's, very cooperative, and everybody's very timely on, producing everything. And, if we don't have the answer right away, they get it. And so there's a lot of work that goes into it out, and we appreciate everybody's, hard work.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Appreciate the update and report.
All right, thanks everybody.
Yep, anything else pops up, just give us a shout.
Yeah, and likewise, if you have anything, don't hesitate.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Do you want a motion to receive now, or do you want to do that under finance?
Let's do it under finance. Maybe Craig will be backing part of it.
Okay.
Is no other presentations scheduled today?
No.
Besides that, okay. Next item, unfinished business, unfinished business. Michigan Unemployment Workshare Program. That made it to the agenda when I was having a finance meeting last week with clerk in the treasurer's office. I wanted the commissioners to maybe discuss a little bit about our participation for the rest of the year. As of right now, we are signed up for the program, but we haven't done any qualifying. What's the word? Certifying?
Certified.
We haven't certified anybody since we signed up for the second round. And the primary reasoning, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the union representation that was going to participate decided they didn't want to, they would resist participating.
Oh.
That's why no one's been qualified at this, or certified for these last week, I guess, since we signed up first again. So the discussion has to be is, and maybe this is a workshop thing to talk about, but everybody needs to think about, what role we as a county want to take as the management for the county to, if we're going to try to use this to save money, are we going to use it, or are we just going to have people on just in case somebody decides it's easier for the benefits to come through for the employees? You know what I mean? It's just kind of weird to just stringing it out and not doing anything with it.
Well, right now, we're certified till the end of the year.
No,
We're not certified.
No, we're not.
we're not certifying anybody right now, but
No,
we
I
are
know, but
signed back up
We're signed back
until,
up to the end of the year,
no, we only did
till the end of September.
2 pay periods, basically,
Oh,
right?
October 25th.
what is it?
I thought it was October 25th, I thought.
October 25th.
Oh, so it's another month.
Yep.
Okay.
Just, we're not doing anything about it right now,
Yeah,
but
I
we
understand.
need to make it front of mind and decide, make some decisions on how we're gonna handle it.
Yeah.
If it's,
Well, definitely, I think about it, because there's no sense of going through it to redo after October 20, or before October 25th to go extend it if we're not gonna use
if
it.
we don't have any intention to certify anybody, then what's the point?
Right,
So is everybody in it? You renewed with?
We're renewed with, everybody is renewed,
Without the union?
but nobody's getting certified.
Right, but there's still issues just us being in it. Brooke has an anniversary in October, she doesn't get a raise. Just being in it, not being certified.
Well, and we need to have a conversation with personnel and union representation then.
But you can't give a raise while they're
Why
in
they're-
She's in
program.
participating in the program.
I understand. That's what I'm saying. We need to have a meeting between personnel and union to work out the details so we can decide how to proceed forward. We can't make a decision right this second, I don't think.
Well, probably not, but there was a letter to Craig that said the union is not interested in extending, so I don't understand how.
Well, I think the thought at the time is that if we don't certify, it doesn't matter. But if it's gonna affect somebody's raise because of the anniversary date, then that's a different story altogether.
Right.
So,
Just because her name's in it, she doesn't get that, okay.
so
That
I
wasn't
mean,
the issue
if anybody else has a suggestion other than this, I mean, I think that we can't make a decision right now to do something about it, but I suggest that union reps have to get with the personnel and discuss a plan to correct it. When is the anniversary date?
They said there's.
When's the anniversary date?
You know Brooke's anniversary date? October 7th?
It's through the end, so do we have another meeting between now and then?
So
When
we
is it?
have not done anything with it as of yet. We was waiting for the board to tell us what to do this.
So we're still.
Oh, you didn't even sign up?
Signed up the new program?
Not yet.
Oh, so it
I
ends
thought we
the end
voted
of
to do
September, right?
So we're not even in the program, so,
We're in it right now until the end of September,
We're not,
right?
No,
No?
we're not signed
she's
up.
saying they didn't.
August.
Oh, you didn't do it at the
it
end of
was
August?
never renewed.
Never.
Well, because I was told to wait until you.
Oh,
guys started meetings.
we got a memo from personnel that told her to hold off. I remember now. I apologize. Well, that's why I wanted to bring this up today, so everybody be on the same page. Because as of last week, I thought we had voted and decided to continue on.
But I thought when the union was not willing to participate, it negates the opportunity.
I don't recall there being conditions on the motion, so I don't know. Regardless, that's why I brought it up today, because there was confusion last week about what's going on.
Right.
So I wanted to get it on the agenda so we can clear it up. So we are not officially signed up, right?
No, we're not.
So there's no issue anymore, the debate's dead. But commissioners do have to consider if we're gonna participate in the future. I think it's time, I don't think we can,
Do you need to amend your motion because you did enact?
Yeah, the motion last month, or last meeting was to continue pending agreement with the unions.
was pending?
Yep,
through October
yep. It said will be certified till October 25th and not to indicate who will be certified pending agreement with the unions.
Okay.
That was the motion.
And that did not happen, so
It did not happen,
So from my perspective, it negated that motion.
right. You didn't do it.
It's null and void.
Okay.
So,
So everything's fine.
well, I mean, Kim, I don't even think after our deadline, I mean, we still can get back into it after this long a period?
Yes, we can get in it anytime we want to.
I thought once we were out, we couldn't get back
Me
in.
too.
No, we just have to go back in and put another case, create another certification. Because once they expire, they're done. Then you have to start another one when you want it.
Okay,
So it's all brand new from the day it expires.
so it's gonna be all brand new if they have to do it.
It would be anyway.
That was my understanding.
It's gonna be anyway, no matter
That's
what.
what it says.
What's that?
It's in the minutes from last.
Right. To continue the Michigan Unemployment Work Share Program as is.
Pending.
10% salary employees, 20% hour employees from September 12th, 2020 to October 25th, 2020, and not to indicate who will be certified pending agreement with the unions.
So
Right.
that
That's-
included the same program that we were on.
Right.
But you weren't gonna certify anyone unless the union agreed.
Right, but
So
the
you
program,
went ahead and did that blanket, you signed up for the program. And you weren't gonna certify until that's what was said.
but nobody, but it
But the
did,
union didn't agree,
yeah, but it didn't get submitted.
so no one, well, that's what apparently has happened.
Right,
But that's contrary to what was,
what was in the
discussed.
motion, yep.
If we certify everybody and just have them sitting there, even though we're not using Workshare, nobody can receive any raise or step increase or anything with pay at all.
Right.
and no new
The
hires.
entire time they're.
And no new hires, so.
Right.
Okay.
That's done.
Yeah, it does.
My understanding was that we didn't do it because the union did
Well,
not agree. So
yeah,
it was
but
null and
as-
void.
True, that could be construed that way, but as read, I think we need to amend this motion.
Well, no, well,
Nothing was done.
nothing was
Just
done.
note that
Well, then we had to make a note today that the motion wasn't followed then.
The motion was followed.
No, it wasn't followed because,
No, it was not.
because we were gonna, the only thing that was pending is if we were gonna certify or not, as read.
Oh, no, I didn't read it that way.
Well, okay,
Because we know that the Workshare program, the verbiage in the Workshare program says, with the concurrence of the union. We didn't have that, so from my perspective, it negated having it. And so therefore, we weren't signed up.
So we're not
That's
signed
my
up.
understanding also.
So we're not signed up right now, so it's
Correct.
really, it's a dead issue right now unless we want to recertify.
I guess I have a question at this point, not to muddy the waters. But let's say you decide to certify after,
Wait, let's not use the word certify.
well, I'm just, or go back into this program. I guess the question I'm asking, and let me finish the question, please, is if somebody gets their step increase or their raise, are we allowed back in the program at all?
Yes.
Oh, I think you can go back in anytime.
Or even if we have a new hire or anything?
That's, I don't know. the
You're
particulars
starting
of that.
from square one.
The only thing I wanted to clarify today was
Okay.
this verbiage didn't get it followed. I'm not trying to say anything bad, I'm just to make
No.
sure moving forward, we're on the same page that, okay, so this didn't happen, so now everybody knows that we are not signed up for the program.
Right.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah, and if possible, I would like a clarification on that, if somebody could get it for me.
In what form?
About if somebody does get a step increase or an anniversary.
Well, you just have to contact, Miss, what's her name? Yes.
So to answer for the union, there's nobody signed up, there's nobody in it, so it doesn't exist.
And I apologize, but as read, I thought it was different, so.
It doesn't exist right now. If indeed we decide 2 meetings from now that we want to get back in the program, that would be a different issue. Right now, we're not in the program. We're out. Okay.
Okay, I think we beat that to the
Gary,
ground sufficiently.
If you don't mind, I do have, when Avis came on in the first, we had an employee that was pending as a new hire, and we also had wage increases. And those took effect, and we were able to apply for the program after that.
Okay, that's all I wanted to clarify.
It's just during our.
During the period, we can't make, okay, that's fine.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Well, let's move on to new business, unless anybody else has any old business they want to talk about. Okay, new business, so we'll start with claims.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the pre-authorized claims and open claims presented for payment between September 2nd, 2020 and September 15th, 2020 for check numbers 141-825 to 141-961 and e-check numbers 1394 and 1389 for a grand total of $1,585,512.60.
Support.
Moved and supported. Can we get a roll call, please?
Brady,
Yes.
Canuck,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Motion carries, yes. Next item, CDBG resolution. Carolyn, would you like to take the wheel at this?
No, but I'll muddle through as best I can.
That's all I can ask.
We're offering the resolution that you now have in front of you. This is to allow us to then apply. This is a pre-application type of thing. Worked with Craig on this. We believe that this, you all got a copy back a while ago of this. We believe that this will allow us to go forward. As you know, with prior discussions, it can include, doesn't have to, but it can include any local government, i.e. township, village, city, as mentioned in the last paragraph. I do not have to be the one that oversees this, but Craig did ask me to put my name in, and if someone else prefers to step in, please, you don't even have to raise your hand, just speak up.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resolution as written.
I will second that.
It's 2020-15.
Moved and seconded, I don't think we need a roll call on this.
Yes.
We do?
Resolution, yes.
There we go. Roll call, please.
Canuck,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Gothier.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And I think for everybody in the audience, it's an application to hope to seek $143,000 plus in CDBG funds.
That must be used on COVID costs.
Yeah, that must be used on COVID costs. So it's just it's just a resolution to start the application process.
Community Development Block Grant, that's what CDBG.
Okay.
All right.
I can forward this to you. So
Here, and pass it down.
Just remind me.
Give one to the secretary and treasurer.
What do I want to do first? Want to do these first?
Yeah. on
So,
finance, okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we need to approve an operation line transfer. We received a bill on an autopsy that has been taking quite a while to get performed. So we need to move $1,000 from our contingency fund over to our medical examiner line item. And it leaves a balance in our contingency fund of $50,154. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve this line item transfer.
Support.
Motion supported, moved and supported. We'll need a roll call for this as well. Roll call, please.
Brady,
Yes.
Benoit,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Gothier.
Yes.
Actually, if I may, identify this as an activity transfer, not a line item,
Oh,
'Cause it's-
activity transfer.
between activities.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Activity transfer.
Motion carries.
Another thing on finance, I sent everybody an email that I received from Unitrix, but, tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a webinar, regarding our revenue sharing and how to, do our report through the, Unitrix, and I'm signed up for it, and I would hope somebody else at least signs up with me to be at this webinar tomorrow at 2 p.m. It'll help us with the task of filling out our revenue sharing report, which
Now,
we
does
have to
this,
do.
does this address the fact that they're now saying it has to be COVID?
I do not know.
Because it's not really revenue sharing anymore. I mean, it's a substitute for it.
Yeah,
This is
well,
our reporting for 2019.
yeah.
This is the reporting we have for 2019.
For 2019, right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. And MGT no longer does that. We do.
I'm in Alpena tomorrow afternoon.
So anyway, hopefully
I will
somebody
not.
can join me tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Okay, next item on new business, RFP health insurance quotes. Speaking with finance and the clerk last week, we kicked around the notion that it's been a few years since we went out for any other insurance provider quotes. Want to see what the board felt about exploring some other options besides who we have currently.
I would consider it prudent to do so.
Are you saying the provider as in priority? of Blue
No,
Cross?
as in the.
As in 44 North?
Yeah, 44, it's carrier, I
Yeah.
don't, is it carrier, is the proper term?
Yeah, it's our
Yes.
agency.
Right.
If it's not too
Or
late,
rep.
if it's
We
not
kinda
too
do.
late to do it, I
Yeah,
support.
I mean, it doesn't hurt now that we've got that basic report yesterday, which gave us a sneak preview of our projected costs for, next year. So like, that gives us some background to look. I mean, we can make a few phone calls and see, you know. It's not a bad idea.
Okay, well, I think, the clerk's office would head that up. So what do you need for,
I have no idea.
no, I mean, do we need to vote or make a resolution to?
No.
Only if we
with the vote?
change. Only if we change.
No,
No,
if we change?
We just have to, we as commissioners can make some phone calls and see if we can find somebody interested in quoting our insurance.
Okay,
That's all we gotta do.
Deal with the
Is that-
telemarketers afterwards.
I
Yeah,
have to see if they have to be published.
huh?
Do they have to be published?
I don't
well,
know.
that's why I'm bringing it up today. We want to try to do something, but what?
Does it have to be published? Does it?
Should be published.
If you're going out for quotes, I'm thinking yes.
I will so move that we make inquiries into health insurance representatives,
I will,
And we place an ad in our,
play, by whatever method the finance committee chooses.
I will second that.
You're my favorite commissioner.
Ah, thanks, Adam, thanks.
All right, I'm moving to seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Yes.
You can still, like I say, you can still go out and solicit.
Yeah, right.
It's got-
Yeah.
right.
Motion carries.
I had it.
It's so much fun.
I'm glad. Next item, finance report. I think we already took care of that.
Basically, that's the two things I had in finance. I wasn't here last season, so.
Well, the last meeting, we didn't have a whole lot of items we had to address for moving money around.
I think the only thing that we did on the last meeting was that conference with Bill. Or was that prior to
Oh,
that?
that wasn't part of finance, but, and that, we just took care of that. That was a CDBG grant stuff.
Right.
Moving on, personnel.
Yep, we do have a couple of things. You would pass those down.
Did you change it from what you handed over there?
I got these.
I thought I had, but I had too many here, so.
I got 3 of them.
You have the one for the self-screening protocol, Gary?
This one here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's different. We've worked with the Health Department on the new protocol, and we will be disseminating that with senior staff in the very near future. Probably not this week, but early next week or so. It's all really pretty much what you've already heard from the Health Department and what is laced with common sense, but we will be dispersing that. We've been compiling information for negotiations with the Sheriff's Department. That summer will be given to the appropriate people when they're so identified.
Oh, I see, this is a summary.
Got one.
This is a
We
summary.
do have a motion that we're asking for passage. I've distributed it to, I think, all of you
Thank you.
have this document, but I distributed it earlier.
Yeah.
Yep,
No?
yes.
Okay, and the Personnel Committee brings that forward, asking for that motion to be considered, and I would so move to designate 2 members of the Board of Commissioners to be the board negotiating team, inclusive with the sheriff and undersheriff. All communications regarding the contract will come to the union through this team and no other source.
I will second that motion.
So who's the 2 members?
Well, in the past, it's personnel.
And that's fine, we're more than happy to move
Okay.
forward with that, but we felt if this is a procedural type of thing, and so we wanted to put it in place.
Okay.
Only the board would designate who, in fact, is going to be the, who's going to negotiate. But the procedure would be, is why you have that.
So do you want a motion?
Yes,
Well,
I thought,
we've got the motion for adopting this. You'd have to have a motion for the
2 members.
2 members.
Can we just amend this to say, move to designate the personnel committee
Yeah.
of the Board of Commissioners to be the board negotiating team?
that's fine.
Yeah, move to designate
Then
the
it's
2
a
members
forever
of the
document?
personnel committee.
This is a forever,
No, that's what I mean, if we say personnel committee instead of name names.
Right.
well, not always, not
No,
always.
but to move forward.
However you'd like to move forward.
Well, no, it's not how I'd like to move forward. It's how everybody would like to move forward. I'm just recommending you say
It's a
personnel committee.
wonderful recommendation.
All right, great.
It's a wonderful
So-
recommendation.
So you
Not-
guys.
Not to muddy the waters, I just, Scott's talking about postponing things for a little while. If you still want me to serve on this,
No matter what happens in November,
okay.
you still
It's
serve
gonna
as
be
a
done
county
And we are
commissioner.
going to be done long before December.
I just want to make sure,
Yeah.
that's all.
There's no
Okay?
concerns on my part,
Okay.
not on anybody's part
It's
for
gonna
that.
be only a couple of weeks and you're gonna be in on it, so.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
not gonna be long, 'cause we gotta have a budget, so. So we need a,
So the motion is to designate the personnel committee of the Board of Commissioners to be board negotiating team inclusive, rest of the verbiage,
yeah,
right? We have a motion and a second, so do we need a roll call?
No,
All right. All those in favor, please say yes.
yes,
All those opposed? Motion carries.
In conjunction with that motion, we only are asking for consensus. But actually, well, no, actually, it's a little more than consensus. We would ask that the communication that you see, or it's been handed out to you, that be approved and authorized for the chairman's signature. And at this time, we now can fill in those blanks.
You want this letter with the chairman's signature and then release the union stewards?
Well, yeah, it's going to go to the union stewards, business representatives, and to the sheriff and undersheriff.
Do we need a motion for this, or is this just
I would like to
paperwork?
have it in a motion form.
I will second it.
Motion is to accept this with
Move.
quick signature to forward on to them.
Yeah, moved and seconded. Here. Did you get a copy of this? Okay.
Oh, okay.
The two members, okay, so, but we're going to change to move, designate the personnel committee of the Board of Commissioners to be the board negotiating team.
Well, in this letter, we can name them.
Yeah.
Because,
Okay. Oh, I see.
yeah. Because this is specific to this year.
Further desired county. Okay, so, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I will, oh, yeah.
I seconded it. You moved it,
Yep.
Carolyn.
So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And the other last thing, second to last thing, actually, we had a farewell to summer, last day of before Labor Day, at 3 to 4:30, and staff came down, had apple cider and coffee and some goodies and stuff. And I think it was relatively well received. So that's all that, I believe that's all we have, isn't it, Gary?
Yep, that was it, Carolyn.
Okay, thank you. Next up, treasurer's report.
What I have to do first is, the last meeting, we discussed, the creation of Fund 282 for COVID grant-related expenses. Other things. This is my recommendation at this time. For what we have, there will be modifications because we already do have other grants and information that are recorded in the general ledger. But moving those would be later. That is basically what I have the information for, with the exception, like I said, there will be modifications to that because of what we already have expended and where those things are going to be coming out. They will be coming out of the other, like the sheriff's department budget, the county's budget, going into the special COVID fund, to get those reimbursements for that. So that's just gonna be a little kind of a technical issue, but that's my recommendation at this time for what I have been presented with for.
Is the stuff from 101-426 going to be included in this?
That's what needs to be determined.
Okay.
That was one of the ones I was questioning.
What are finance committee's thoughts on including 426 into this?
Well, it's, first of all, what's 426?
Well, 426 is the
Disaster.
emergency management.
Yeah, the
disaster.
disaster fund. Well, yeah, I mean, this is the first time, just thinking about it right off the top of my head, yeah, if they are indeed legitimate expenses for COVID, they are legitimate
Oh,
expenses,
yeah.
what we did, but if they are allowed to be expenses to the grant, then heck yeah, into this
But
money.
they're supposed to be coming from separate money, I
If-
thought.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The CDBG grant that you're going for, which you said was kind of a catch-all at the end, anything that we didn't see before that wasn't covered by any other COVID expenses, can be reimbursed to the general fund for the 426. So
Okay,
it can be recorded as coming in here and then being transferred to the general fund for those expenses.
Right,
Okay,
So
that-
I don't wanna start throwing everything in
yeah, I totally agree on
a
that,
big pot where it's gonna get
Yeah.
very confusing.
right.
So, but all the monies that are coming in definitely should be filtered through this, and that was the recommendation of the Department of Treasury. And
Okay.
so our expenses can be expended on that same way, and the ones that are reimbursable can be still recorded where they were spent from.
Okay.
If you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's perfect with me.
This is a start, this
just a base of what I have. If there's more, there's going to be more. Like the hazard pay is already established in the general fund for payroll expenses. So if that money, when that money comes in, it can be filtered. We can make an amendment to this budget, filter it through here, and reimburse the general fund for
Right.
those funds. I
There you
think
go.
that's gonna be a better tracking,
Right.
because all the federal funds that are being filtered through the state of Michigan, we have specifics on how they need to be accounted for, and I think this is gonna be a safer way for everybody to have a handle on the actual COVID dollars that come in.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Do you need a motion to establish this fund? I can't remember.
Yeah.
You established the fund, but you were waiting on a budget.
Okay, I move to adopt the budget as presented for Fund 282.
Oh, well, hold on.
Oh,
hold
I'm
on.
sorry, I'm sorry.
Motion, no action was taken, so. It was discussed, but no, it was brought up and talked about, but apparently no action was taken. So yes, you do need to create this fund.
And we can create, in creating the fund, we also create the budget. Is that true?
Yes, I did not have that available before
Okay.
last time.
So you made a motion to,
My motion is to approve the budget as presented for Fund 282.
I'll second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Do we need a roll call?
Yes.
Just a little before I vote, because I'd like to know what we did. Just give me an
Oh,
overview.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
This is establishing,
Establishing fund.
well, we can excuse you from this one if you want to, but this is establishing emergency fund, dollars, a fund for it.
Where COVID expenses that are,
So grants that we're receiving, this is the
Correct.
place where they're going out of. Got it.
Recommendation to the treasurer from the State Department of Treasury.
Got it. Okay.
and as they go, then sure, it'll go back through here and then be reimbursable back to the general fund as they are qualified for.
Okay, yeah, works for me. I'm good.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we,
I thought it had to be a roll call.
Roll call it is.
Benoit,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Brumman,
yes.
Gothier.
Yes.
So do we need to do a resolution or is this good?
It's
This is all, okay.
It's official now.
Back to you, sir.
Alrighty. So where did we get to?
We just,
Thank you.
we're in the
Clerk's
treasurer's report right now.
Alright.
There's report and clerk.
Anything else from the treasurer?
With, everything, I have a, meeting this afternoon in regards to the lawsuits that are going on with, the tax foreclosure processes. Kind of thing, so I have, the Zoom meeting or phone call. Great, we can do that. They haven't given me a time yet. I'll find out, but I'll let you know. There's been no other updates in regards to that. There's been a lot of talk in regards to, the implications that are moving forward in there is some law written into legislation, or that's going to be presented as legislation, which will impact the tax foreclosure process, but nothing, to my knowledge, has been voted on yet. At the last meeting, we talked about the revenue sharing and the replacement. It is an actual replacement. There is no revenue sharing dollars for this payment. This is $92,000, which is approximately $45,000 more than we would normally get it as a payment. All slated for COVID expenses. That's the $92,972 on that 282 budget. So when these expenses occur appropriately, they will be allocated back to where they can be. And so that was one thing that I didn't have clarification on that I do now.
So we definitely don't get that payment to do, I mean, it's different than it was last year.
The 52, I believe
Well,
it's 52.
The 52 we would have gotten.
So there's some guidance. We're gonna look at a webinar. So we've received some guidance from both MAC and a couple other groups.
Oh, you did talk to Mac?
Yeah,
I didn't know you'd called them.
Yep.
Okay.
but we don't want to talk about that. I don't know anything yet. So there's some
There is-
guidance. Yeah, there's,
Referral back to the CARES Act, which you
Yeah.
can print out on there, and they're all specific
Yeah.
on things that can happen and can't happen.
And this has no problem with going back, right? This budget. I mean, we can pull money out of here to pay past expenses.
As long as they're not covered by other
Right.
COVID.
Yep.
COVID funds. This really, we sent out our October 1st is a $15 fee that goes on, so we have a lot of people, and we sent it with 3 dates, so we have a lot of people sending us extra money, so we'll be asking for a lot of checks from the clerk's office for overpayments for taxes, because people read the last line. The auction is ending September 30th, will be the last day. That's when the auction for the foreclosures. We have 16 parcels in there. People are continuing to pay their taxes. We haven't heard anything to the contrary of suspending interest for those people, even COVID related, but we do have a very flexible payment. We can make payment arrangements with people and we're very flexible on how they make their payments. We would like to see no one be in a position to lose their properties. So they can always call and set up whatever they can do, whenever they can do, and we can explain the process and how it works. And that's all I have. Is there any questions?
Nope.
I'm good.
All right, hearing none. Thank you. Move on, clerk's report.
Our office approved ballots last week, took about pretty much all week, which kind of put us a little bit further behind with working on the budget than we were hoping. But we did place the order on Friday, and upon the placement of the order, they shipped either yesterday or today, so all the local clerks will have them by tomorrow or Friday. So they're in compliance with the guidelines for, we have to have it to them by September 19th so that they can process their move ballots and start sending out their AVs. And I did have a note from the last meeting, and it was in regards to the building hours. I just had a question. If we're not participating in the work share program, I just want confirmation that the building is still, the hours are remaining the same. Are people answering the phones? Kind of just wanted some clarification for that because it's not real clear.
I guess personnel has talked about this to a small degree. I'm sorry I had my back to you people.
You're okay.
I got my back to somebody, so I apologize. Anyway, if this were, things are leveled off, everything's smooth, everybody, so to speak, most everyone knows that we close at 3 o'clock, 3:30 on Friday, that if something were to happen and a breakout, and we were to decide we needed, so if we went to 4:30 and then we have to go back, it's like, let things level off, stay as they are, people are working their full work schedule and are supposed to be, and just let it stay. Hopefully we will be able to change it back to regular, but things are still volatile, I think.
And when you say things, you're talking about COVID-19 response.
COVID-19 stuff.
So
yeah.
it reduces people in the building, reduces people coming in the building. Exposures.
Yeah.
So when we close at 3 instead of that extra hour and a half.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
why do we stop answering phones at 3:30? I don't get that part.
I don't think we said that. Only the building was going to be closed.
Well, the comments are being made that people stop answering the phone after 3 o'clock.
No, I don't think that.
Well,
should be.
there's a couple of paths on that. One is if they answer the phone, oh, can I come in then? Well, no, the building's closed, but you're answering your, I don't think there's a wrong answer or a right answer for it.
Okay, I was just curious as to why that was mentioned.
Okay, so the direction at this point is at your discretion and
Building
your office?
hours
Building hours are until
will
3.
continue as they are at
Continue
3
as they
and
are.
2:30.
But the telephone, that should be,
And I hate to leave it up to each individual office because then, well, I just talked to someone in this office and this office isn't answering their phone, that, I don't think that's a healthy thing to have. But, and I guess I would like to, we have 3 offices right here, I think just 3, yeah. And I guess I would turn to them and ask, what are your collective thoughts on it? I mean, I know it's hard to let a phone.
I take a point, I meet people at the door, I answer the phone.
You do not answer the phone?
I do answer the phone.
You do answer the
I
phone?
answer
You
the
do
phone
too?
at 5 o'clock, unfortunately.
Well, yeah.
We were not answering the phones, but they call other offices and then the other offices call us. And,
Are they
I
not?
mean, if the building's closed to the public, I guess, I mean, I have not made a practice of meeting people at the door.
Well, I wouldn't meet them. I mean, they're not necessarily able to come in unless there's an extreme circumstance where you have to. I mean, it was just, you can do something over the phone, right? If somebody had a question or,
That's where clarification's needed, because every
Right.
office is doing things entirely
Differently.
differently.
Well,
From the beginning,
They-
people have been able to call an
they
office,
had cut hours
and
before,
if
they don't have cut hours now.
one-on-one needed, if it couldn't be done through either the Dropbox or something else, they have met up and through 4:30 and sometimes later, if a department was willing to do that. But that hasn't changed since, when did we do lockdown? May?
March.
March, yeah, one of those M's. So that really hasn't changed, that part of it. And,
Well, what you're saying, I don't think that the reasoning behind this was necessarily employee related. It was more COVID-19 related.
Oh,
So you're not, we're not spreading anything over the phone. So you should still be talking to people on the phone. You just didn't want people in the building.
And we recently just started answering the phones again. I mean,
Well, I think they should have, because everybody's back to full hours, right?
yeah.
Yeah, we're just
cut
restricting access to the building for an hour and a
Right.
half each
Yeah.
day to keep.
Phones
Yeah,
should be
I
answered.
would think that phones should be answered.
100%, yes.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion on that, or?
I don't think so. I think we've got 3 people here now, so.
Yeah.
Well, somebody have to pass it on to their respective committees
If
We-
or
we
the other
will-
offices.
We will.
Draft that?
Actually, we're sending out a notice for a meeting, and so we'll include it in that notice.
Okay.
All right, anything else, Steph?
no, I don't think so. A couple things I'll bring up in the finance meeting.
Okay.
Or budget workshop, budget.
Well, let's talk, it didn't make it on the docket here. Did it get posted, the budget workshop?
Well, it's
We're
gonna
just
be-
continuing.
We're staying, we're gonna
We're gonna
recess and be in our meeting.
Recess for lunch and then continue the meeting.
Okay.
All right, anything else? Anybody got questions?
Nope,
No?
I'm good.
Communications?
Yeah, I would like to bring something up since I got this nice official looking thing in the mail. Came from the,
Oh, they send them to everybody.
huh?
They send them to everybody.
Not actually.
Not priority
Not this
mail. This came from formerly used defense sites out of Phoenix, Arizona. It's talking about the military bases like Wordsmith that used to do live fire stuff. So there are brochures. I posted one downstairs, gave one to the clerk to post upstairs. As far as, yeah, it's pretty looking official, especially when they tracked it. The fire region and everything else, I'm waiting on a call because I have tried to attempt to call them. But this has to do what you see if you see a piece of ordnance laying in your property in the middle of the forest, whatever. The range was in part of Iosco and Elkona County. So I guess just if you see anything in there that looks like it could go boom, carefully move away from it and let somebody know.
So there is a full website here, FUD's menu, interactive map, talks about where and what and, so what, that's the gist of it? Just,
Yeah, I'm just bringing it up to people's attention. Supposedly some official letter, I believe, may look like it's going out since it looks like it's blank in form, but again, I'm going to get touch base with them and see if I can get an answer.
all right,
If I can add to that, even on the base, when we redid the road here a couple years, the main road down there, we had to have people waiting there in case there was something found.
remember that.
Anytime we do any digging out there, we gotta hire somebody to come in and watch it in case there is something that's gonna blow up. I remember campground there, it used to be full of little pieces of metal, we used to practice out there. But I mean, anytime we do anything, we gotta make sure the calls are.
Anything else? Any other communications? Committee reports? Committee reports? Gary, do you have anything?
Yeah, I was at Millen Township. I explained to them about our revenue sharing this year. They said they have no more money to give since we've taken their pelt. Was at I was at.
They have no money to give?
Yeah, that's it.
Were you asking for money?
Nope.
Oh.
Just a general.
Oh, okay.
Jim mentioned it. I thought, well, I'd pass it on since I'm their representative. I know Mitchell Township, I was at theirs Monday night. Carla's contemplating moving the Wi-Fi there in case we go back into this lockdown thing and the schools are off. She wants to move it so that parents can access from the parking lot, you know, that part of the building where they'd have a decent Wi-Fi signal. So I told her we'd take a look at that and see if that would be available from that fund we're getting. Community mental health is doing very well with their budgets considering all this stuff. And again, still surprised we haven't got the amount of cases that you would expect during something like this, but we'll find out if we ever open, if we do or not. And that's about all I've got to report.
No, veterans meeting yesterday, had a good meeting, and basically they submitted their proposed budget for 2021, and I worked with them on a few items on that budget, and they've submitted that for our review. Michigan Works tomorrow, NEMCOG tomorrow, meetings. Other than that, nope.
Kelly?
Just pretty much routine. Greenbush Township in October will be receiving the schoolhouse that is next door. Part of the deed, the terms of the deed are that when the Greenbush Historical Society closed up, that they would receive the schoolhouse, so they will be doing that. So.
Yeah, come in. Oh, nope. I don't have a lot, although did it come up at all on Cedar Lake? Anybody update anybody? So I happened to be coming back from Muskota yesterday, whipped in there. Did you go over yet, or it's done? I think yesterday. They haven't paved it yet, so the whole structure's in.
Oh, really?
The engineer was standing there with the
Monday,
other.
there was the big gap.
No, it's all that's left. I think is the paving, and yeah, it's all set.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, no, it's not done. Because in the original plan, they were to have cleaned out that creek. And it was bid inclusive. And so there are still some issues.
Well, the dam's there and the overflow and all the
That's
other
true.
stuff, and it looks very nice. Got hand railing around it, and
It does.
It's nice. Yeah, it looks.
But what is the walk area, and then there's a plank that goes across the,
I don't think, it's not there now, so maybe there are two steel grates there now,
yeah.
that maybe they didn't have the grates and they have a
Past the
plank on it.
grates.
Past the grates, I saw no.
The handrail is up here,
Yeah,
and on the other side of the handrail,
looking into the lake.
it looked like a
There-
wonderful thing for kids to walk on.
Well, it's a steel overflow. That right there is 602.58 whatever. That is the level of the lake. So that's the lip for the water to come over. That's all steel. That's not metal. But that when you stand at that hand railing and look in there and you see that wide flat thing, that's the lake level. So when the water starts coming over, it's
We're talking about
releasing.
two different things, I think.
Maybe. But it's very nice.
It does, it looks nice. It's pretty.
Yeah, it looks good. Someone put
And while I
American.
was there the other day, nice old friendly beaver stuck his nose up.
Did he?
Said, I'm still
Huh?
here.
Well, if he climbs up on that overflow and takes a ride down the chute, it'd be fun. So, all right, I don't have anything else, so where are we moving?
Recessed.
Well, we got public comment. Any public comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to pop in real quick, Dave from Building and Grounds. I wanted to make everybody aware that we've been working with the Sheriff's Department, the Building and Grounds Department. They applied for a grant and got a brand new pickup truck that they're gonna be using for pulling the boats and trailers around and stuff. They've agreed to donate the old Tahoe to the Building and Grounds Department instead of auctioning it off. Instead of running the personal vehicle around, pulling all the trailers and everything like that, that'll give us a truck to use for that. We're in the process of de-sherifying it. They're gonna take the stickers off of it and a couple other little things to it. And then we've gotta work on the insurance and getting plates for it and stuff, but basically, hopefully we're in the transition period where I actually will have a truck for the Building and Grounds.
So that was a question. I don't know if we need board action on that, but it will have to get transferred from the sheriff's department asset list to the, I don't know, I guess, I mean.
Do we have any vehicles in the?
No, in our fleet?
In our fleet, we don't have any vehicles.
That's the issue.
This is the fleet.
This is it.
The first vehicle, so we're gonna have to set something up and figure out how to get it transitioned over. But the whole point is that we'll have a vehicle once it's done.
All right.
So that's something for.
They want
Merlin,
to
right?
take that plate onto the new.
Correct.
New truck.
Yeah.
That's something for Merlin. then.
Yeah, because we don't have any vehicle insurance right now, and we're gonna need to set all that up. Okay,
Long-term process, but it's going forward.
Well, it's currently insured,
Correct.
both the truck and the Tahoe.
Right. But-
To remove it from the fleet, yeah.
yep.
Create a new fleet.
Or just leave it up to the sheriff. He could
Be a
just
lot more
leave it under
insurance.
the, well, more expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's that big a deal to transfer it over
Okay.
and create another.
I was just wondering if sheriff could hold on to it and then just building and grounds to uncomplicate the process, but hey.
No, I don't
all
think
good.
it shouldn't be complicated. I mean,
Okay.
it's just a insurance transfer.
It won't be a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't think.
All right, we'll get it done.
Sheriff's Department for their donation and keep it going.
Scott, are you talking?
Yeah, I'll go with whatever route's easiest for you guys to do. I'm just concerned that insuring it as a patrol vehicle is probably higher cost than.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. We'll get that out of there, get it on create an insurance policy for us, for a fleet, and then
The
go
only
that
thing
route.
that I would ask, please, 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 make sure that the certificate of insurance gets into the glove compartment.
Okay, I'll write
Based on
that
a
down.
Prior issue.
Got it.
You would
The
think
state
the
police.
sheriff's department would know that.
Yeah, but it's going.
They didn't.
It's going to the.
Not, this isn't Scott, back a few years ago. And the Michigan State Police came unglued because it wasn't where it belonged.
Mm-hmm. All right.
To the point they were
So
gonna
we'll have
cite
that.
the driver.
I think we can do that without board action. We're just transferring. It's within the same. All right, any other public comment?
I just got one more. I just want to know that, let you know, in our neighborhood, the TV really bad again. And Jerry knows his brother and his dad had up there. He had it really bad. It's right on my fence line. And we share probably close to 2 miles of fence line. And I went through TV testing last week. I was gonna come and have you make a resolution, right? I didn't test it anymore, but I didn't do anything good. But anyways, we finished our test up Monday. All mine come back clear. I'm happier than a bugger about that, but I don't know how it happened. Even the state vet told me, Kevin, expect half of your herd to be gone. I don't know how it come out, but I was smiling. My wife was smiling. So
Well,
I just wanted to know there's some good news out there.
Yeah, well, I've
My
said,
neighbor, but for everybody, for me, it was good.
I think I've said to several people, you know, we're going through this COVID-19 testing, and I said, people here in Alcona County have been doing this for 25 years. There's been testing and there's no end. You just keep testing and keep testing, and then nobody's got an out plan, and that's, yeah, same thing.
My neighbor there, he started putting 8-foot fence up out there, and I'm gonna have him come back because one post they put in, I can sit in my chair and look out the window, it's crooked. Anyways, that's some good news, that's all.
Anyone else? Commissioners, additional comments?
Sure, why not?
Of course.
Well, if you want, I won't have to.
Well, I'm not telling you.
No, I just wanted to say with all the stuff that's been going on in the press about all these executive orders things, I guess the part that they didn't mention that I had talked to them about was people staying off of each other's case. You know, if you don't have a mask on, you know, we don't want somebody with the mask beating you up over it. And by the same token, if you're not wearing one, be respectful and don't get on top of them. You know, just treat people the way you'd want to be treated. You know, I'm not going to condemn or condone anybody for doing one or the other. That's on you. You know, you're a human being. You take your chances. On the other hand, if you do, don't come back and try to sue somebody for doing something that you took a risk on. I mean, this country was built on, you know, taking a risk. You know, nobody guaranteed anybody's success, you know, and nobody was there to pick you up when you failed. So just act responsible. And I did get a email from another county commissioner who's deciding is going to attempt to stand with us on this. And I think this is basically it. The other thing I get tired of getting picked on is them accusing us of being political. I mean, when you take a look at most of this stuff, Traverse City's been getting a heck of a lot of grace on this thing, and we're in much better shape in all the 4 counties, you know, in this area in district health than Traverse City is. So, you know, it wasn't us, you know, we're not the one that picked this battle. And you know what? Treat us like adults. We want to be treated, you know, we have some common sense, and we have a health director, as you brought up to me, sir. You know, they trust us for water, they trust us for sewage, trust us on this. Denise is competent. And that's the end of my comments.
Anyone else?
I do. I have to step back. I apologize. I was approached by Tony on Monday afternoon in regards to his Veterans Affairs budget, and they were having a meeting the next day. I did not get to review the things that I had intended to. I know they were moving forward with that, and there was only a few things that I had a discussion with in regards to it, so I just didn't want, if it needs to be addressed at a different time, I'm more than happy to do that. I just didn't have the time to do it, and I apologize for that, because I dropped the ball on that one, but it's not something that I'm not gonna look over and review.
I think I kind of handled that out, most of it yesterday, and you and I are gonna go over it, but
Okay.
it got pretty much handled yesterday.
I just wanted to let you know that that was something
Yep.
that was brought to my attention, and I wasn't able to complete it.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
I'll make a motion to recess.
So moved. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Yes. Till 1? You want to wait till 1? 1 hour?
Yeah, I need 1 o'clock, so I have a conference
Okay.
call at 12:30.
1 o'clock. Very good. You know, that's, Miss,
what?
Hey Karen, did you know that, what's his face left?
Pardon?
What's his name? The younger guy. Marcus is gone.
What? I told you Marcus was gone.
I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, Marcus is gone.
Did you? You may have, I don't remember it. And I called down there because, why did I call?
Is that signed by Sprinkler
Did you,
Lake?
is there, I asked her and she wouldn't tell me.
Hey, Steph?
She just said he moved on to
Somebody
other,
took one.
other
That-
things.
That's all I know.
Yeah, took that
Why
one.
did I call him? I called him
Wasn't
because.
me.
Yeah, 30 assigned stolen.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember why, because, the guy who
I would
committed
have to make a
suicide,
copy.
Larry Van Wagner, his
There's a copy
aunt
machine down here.
wanted a copy of